my guests are seated. I have in studio Abigail Elorm Mensah, who is a Deputy National Women's Organizer of the NDC. Good morning, Elorm.
Good morning.
You're welcome. How are you?
Thank you very much. I'm very well, thank you.
All right. And I also have in studio Fati Abubakar, who is a Deputy Director of Communications at the Office of the President. Good morning, Fati. How are you?
Dave. I'm good.
It's good to have you all here.
Yeah.
You ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. Well, let's begin our conversation. We want to start by talking about, I'm going to start with you, Fati, the Comprehensive Sexuality Education. The furore and brouhaha that it's raised over the last few days. Government is categorically stating that it hasn't approved a curriculum for this in schools. However, there are suggestions and other documents within this space, social media and so on, that seek to suggest that it's not the entire truth. What's really going on here, Fati?
First of all, let me say good morning to you and my co-panelists and also your cherished viewers. This topic has become one of the most sensitive that I would have to discuss, to think about the fact that we need to, in our cultural context, the fact that we need to talk about some of these things on TV is even more difficult. But first of all, let's state the record straight. To start with, government has not at any point in time suggested that they want to introduce sexuality education at the basic schools, especially with specific reference to the crèche or KG to class 6. It hasn't happened.
In February, the Minister of Education was speaking at a forum when he actually thanked UNESCO and UNFPA for funding the Comprehensive Sexuality Education program.
The point is that, with reference to that specific forum that we've spoken about,
yes,
it has been completely taken out of context.
Really?
Go and look at even the letter of United Nations on this topic. They are talking about education within your cultural context.
Okay.
We made reference earlier on to Section 104 of the Criminal and Other Offences Act, Act 29. In Ghana, to talk about unnatural carnal knowledge and some of those things are even offences. You can't abet it, you can't conspire to do it. And they are specific in our statutes. If you could remember, the curriculum for the nursery, primary, up to primary 6 came out long before this conversation was even started. And at no point in time in that curriculum did they state that they want to introduce such a topic at the primary school level. It did not happen. Now let's look at the source document that has led to this brouhaha. Sometimes we reduce every conversation to a Facebook post or a document that was posted on Facebook, of which the credibility of that document may not even be something that we can even substantiate. I'm
not sure that's a fair comment. And because a lot of the times, yes, people run away with things assuming that they are true, But then in this case, you find that there are documents with certain veracity to it.
And I'm stating that the primary document, which was circulated on social media and other media platforms, purporting that the Ministry of Education and GES has come up with a curriculum talking about this comprehensive sexuality education at the primary school level, displaying some pictures and all that, is not even a document that came from either GES or the Ministry of Education. So to start with,
where's it from then?
Some have even suggested that it's one of the documents for adult education by PPAG. PPAG is not a government agency. So to start with, if the whole conversation about what the Ministry of Education and GES is doing is based on a document that is not from the ministry or GES, based on a document that has not been approved by the ministry or GES, based on a document that is unknown or alien to even the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, NACA, who have come out to state that for them, they have not introduced such a document to the schools. Just a few months ago, about 2 months ago, teachers in this country, about 150,000 of them, were trained on the new curriculum as we have it. These teachers are not just NPP teachers. They are professionals who are interested in their job and the students.
One of the trainers yesterday made comments on Eyewitness News saying that he was involved in training people in comprehensive sexuality education. He's called Prince Kwaku Ensi.
So it is his word.
And he says he's a master trainer.
The facts as they exist on NACA website, the facts as they exist with GES. I believe it is in our best interest that you verify some of these information that he has put out there with the thousands of trainers who were also engaged to train other teachers to find out if it is true. This is the situation whereby the governing council of NACA and the governing council of GES both have representatives who represent our cultural and moral and religious fiber. I'm talking about the Christian Council, the Federation of Muslim Councils, among other religious interests. And these people have not even set their eyes on such a document coming out from from NACA, which is empowered by law to introduce new curriculum and all that. They haven't seen it. So the entire conversation is based on a document purported to be coming from the Ministry of Education and GES, which turned out not to be true. To start with, teachers who were given this...
Why did the GES director, the Director General of the GES, why did he thank UNESCO and UNFPA for funding the entire process of the curriculum, including CSE training material?
When, I've always said that sometimes we need to go beyond just what people are saying.
It's not
to
what
even
people are
pick
saying.
UNFPA's document, to pick the kind of documents they are relying on, the kind of policies they are introducing to talk to. We need to pick them and read extensively. The fact that the words CSE was used does not necessarily imply or mean that the government is introducing comprehensive sexuality education in basic schools. It is not true.
Okay.
It does not exist.
I'll read you a quote. We see in Ghana, it's as imperative that sexuality education should be part of the curricula that we will launch in September this year from kindergarten KG to senior high school, Mr. Opoku Prempeh told the press in Accra on January 30th, 2019. It was at a press conference that was held in Accra. So, did he renege?
I am saying that the curriculum for primary school is already out. It has already been approved by Cabinet. It has already been approved by NACA, presented by NACA, sent to the ministry, approved by Cabinet. It is on NACA's website. When you check the document as it has been presented by government, nowhere in the document have they spoken about going to primary schools to educate the kids about comprehensive sexuality education.
Okay.
Now, that is the fact. That the document is out. Teachers have been given packs as intermediate and immediate and intermediate use, whilst the textbooks are approved as teachers' packs to use as guidelines in the various schools. They've started teaching with those packs because school is already in session, students are already in the various schools. None of those teachers have used any of the packs or can point to any page in the Teacher's Pact, which is some sort of books or documents given to them as guidelines to take the students through the various courses based on the new curriculum. None of them, not even one, has come out that these are the documents as I received from GES. And these documents contain materials, including the pictures being circulated on Facebook, as something I'm supposed to teach 4-year-olds to class 6 students on comprehensive sexuality education. It is not there. And the fact that the conversation has got to this extent and the ministry has come out to clarify the issues, if anybody has a document contrary to what has been presented by the ministry, I believe it will be in the interest of the public that they bring it forth for us to scrutinize. But the fact that pictures, pages of documents that were picked from social media and other platforms, that you even look at some of the source and you realize that the intention is more of a political thing. And at the end of the day, you realize that they were based on untruths, saying that these documents came from those who worked on the curriculum. And they are saying it is not true. So based on that, the propaganda did not work. And I believe our advice...
So do you think this is political propaganda?
I believe so.
Really?
I believe so, yes. Because the institutions mandated to come up with curriculum said, we've not done it.
If it's political propaganda, the Minister of Education must have been part of that machinery that you're proposing.
He wasn't.
Because I just read to you from Ghana Web, in January, he said it, that it is imperative, that we feel as a government that it is imperative. So how does that become propaganda?
And I'm saying that yesterday the minister clarified. If you watch the minister's press conference,
I watched it.
He said his comment had nothing to do with comprehensive sexuality education at primary schools.
Fati, he said, we feel as a government that it is imperative that we include sexuality education in our curricula from KG to SHS. That statement, is he part of the propaganda machinery?
And I'm saying that the curriculum for KG to class 6 is already out. You did not see comprehensive sexuality education in it.
No, I didn't.
This is a document that has been approved.
You are suggesting.
And the document is already in the public domain. And you know, this whole debate, as I said, is a bit sensitive. So when you are talking about it, you just try as much as possible to be polite about it. When I was at the basic school, when I was at JHS in 1999, thereabouts, there were NGOs who came to the school to talk to us about reproductive health and sex.
Yes.
At that level, as teenagers, students who had reached puberty, they felt it was necessary to have such a conversation with us. At the senior high school level, the same thing happened. And I believe whoever has gone through our educational system will tell you that this conversation at one point or the other is necessary to educate students about sex, to educate them about reproductive health and other health-related issues. In this instance, we are talking about specifics. The outcry is about teaching 4-year-olds and primary school students about sexuality and sex education and all that. That is the contention. And the fact that we have come up with a source document that is representing reproductive parts and putting some sensitive information out there for babies to consume. And I'm saying that this information, as put out there, is false.
Okay, so
based on
the government of Ghana website, it says here, Ghana and UNESCO launches CSE program. This was a story that was on the website 1st February 2019. So how do you then go from something that is on an official website to say that it's propaganda? I'm not sure. It's right there on the website. Ghana and UNESCO launches CSE program.
And you go ahead to read the content of that information.
Okay.
And I am saying that, David, the whole point is that we are not saying that, oh, sex education is not good, students should not be taught. We are saying that the age of the students, the context of the use of CSC as being circulated now, purporting to educate students about homosexuality and like, as I said, I don't even want to be a vessel used to communicate some of those information. So I've tried as much as possible to refrain from it. I am saying that the context of the use of CSC in this conversation, as we have it this week, and also the context about the fact that this education is meant for 4-year-olds to class 6, is not true. And that is basic.
Fair enough.
And also the UN stated categorically that this CSC program is supposed to be done within the context of a country's moral and values. It's about your morals and your values. And in our Ghanaian context, we criminalize unnatural carnal knowledge. I believe that is a strong statement enough. And nobody can hide behind anything to insist that it happens. Government hasn't done that.
So you've heard the conversation that we've been having and all the noise that has been made in the media and social media and so on. What's your position on this? And what do you think about the veracity of what both Fati and her minister are saying?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me say good morning to your viewers, my colleague, and then yourself. I don't know whose words I should take at this point, whether I should take my sister's words or that of the minister. Because like you said, I have seen a video of the minister where he actually said the things you read, that it is going to be from KG to senior high school. Now, yesterday, I also heard the minister say that there's nothing like that. So I feel that it's the public outcry. The Christian Council, in fact, I've heard the former president of the Church of Pentecost say that he was going to lead a demonstration should this happen. I've seen something from the chief imam. I've seen something from the charismatic council. And there's a lot of public outcry on this issue. And so, as usual of this government, they've decided to do a U-turn. And in doing their U-turn, I think that it's appropriate. They don't take Ghanaians for fools, and rather do the honorable by apologizing to Ghanaians. This is not the first country that is going to, from the UNESCO, UN, FPA, PPA, GEO, all those things. This is not the first country. We've had countries that have gone into this and then they are backtracking from it, that it is not good for them. You see, for us as Ghanaians, it is even sad. Because growing up, you wouldn't even, at age 4, who are you to talk about sex? You understand? It is seen as not right. And this is where we are telling people that, per the documents we have seen, we want to tell the kids that at age 4, sex is your right. At age 4, you are telling the child that...
Well, they did say that it will be age appropriate, right? So it will be rolled out on in an age appropriate.
Well, have you seen the videos of students, primary students, asking questions in class and answering questions in class about sex and all that? Yeah,
but we can't verify where that video came from.
But we can't verify, but we know it is...
I've seen what you're talking about.
I've seen one where they speak our local language.
Yes, I've seen that video.
You've seen it, where they are talking about sex to very little kids. Yes. You understand? So it is not a discussion of it being propaganda. You understand? This whole thing, for me, I believe is not just what we are seeing. Rather, it is some hidden agenda about this LGBT, whatever that is happening around the world that they want to bring to Ghana. And I am not surprised, because our president President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo said that it was bound to happen. So if he said, it's obvious, he said it, you don't know, you've not heard, you didn't watch.
What did he say?
He was asked a question about this issue, passing of the LGBT law in Ghana and all that. And he said, well, with the growing trends and things happening around the world, it is bound to happen. You understand? It is bound to happen. So I'm not surprised that we are experiencing it now, that our kids are supposed to be taught that sex is their right and all that. You see, if you read about this CSE thing, they claim the main motive is to help young ones to not just about HIV, but also tell them about how you can keep personal hygiene and all that. Like she said, when I was in JHS, I was taught personal hygiene, I think in life skills or something, yeah. And talking about sex, we all learnt it in the junior high, where we thought that it was appropriate as a country to start teaching children about sex and talking to them, because at that age you are in your puberty, and it is assumed that all those feelings and sensations will come, and you would want to practice it if you are not guided right. So for me, they need to come out and apologize.
Okay, so you hold your thought right there. We need to take a short break. We'll come back after. We'll take a short break. We'll come back after this. Right, welcome back. And just let me quickly read a few of your messages that you've sent in, and then Abigail will continue with her submission. This is from Walanyo in Akwetia. Ghanaians are just too quick to insult political leaders at any least chance that we get. The most shameless of among it all is that you will find a journalist, religious, and opinion leaders dancing to the same tune without giving the appropriate agencies opportunity to explain CSE in our curriculum. They have realized that they can't force us to take homosexual and lesbians, and they are just passing it through the young ones, and through our education system will be the easiest way. The National Cathedral will be another channel to nail it all. This is Joseph from Bolga. A.U. Farouk from Tamale North says, good morning. What's the education minister talking about? So is he saying that the documents in circulation is not from the government? Wonders shall never end. Hashtag Breakfast Daily. All right, Abigail, you were speaking before we went for the break.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that how does government explain the $22 million from the Swedish people is their taxpayers' money? And like you were saying, the minister thanked UNESCO, UNFPA, and all for their commitment into the CSE education and all that around it. So how do they explain that to Ghanaians? They've gone for the money already. How do they explain that this money they went for was not meant for what they are now running away from, that they never said? You see, I think that it's about time this government stops lying to Ghanaians. When they are caught, it's not about lying. They should just come out and say that, well, this is what we thought, but going into it, we feel that it will not help Ghana. So we are no longer going for it. Then Ghanaians can, then all of us, even as political opponents, can come around and then we can take a better decision, you understand? But when you go around it this way, tagging it as a political propaganda, then of course you are taking Ghanaians to be fools. Ghanaians are not just made up of NDC and MPP. There are other Ghanaians who are neither NDC or MPP who also see everything wrong with this one. So when you say it's a political propaganda, is it that everybody else is saying the right thing apart from the MPP? I think that this Western world they have no moral right, moral justification to come down to us, to come and tell us how we should teach our children about sexuality and all that. This is not a Ghanaian way of teaching. This is not our style. And I believe that it is better government apologizes at this point and not run away from the story and say that they never said it, like my sister is saying here.
All right.
We can't accept that.
Okay. Any further comments on this?
Yeah, I would like to quote what the president said on Al Jazeera briefly, if you would allow me.
Please go ahead.
Okay. The president said, and I quote, "At the moment, I don't see that in Ghana there is that strong current of opinion that is saying this is something we need to deal with. It is not so far a matter that is on the agenda." I don't know how this translates into my sister saying that the president said homosexuality is bound to happen in Ghana. That is not what he said. This is his statement,
when did
as
he
I have
this?
quoted. This was on Al Jazeera.
When?
Maybe you should,
About a year ago.
You should go.
About a year ago.
Yes, there was an interview he granted.
Yourself.
He did not say that homosexuality is bound to happen in Ghana.
Okay.
That is false. And I've quoted the specific statement that he made to you.
Okay, so
Yeah.
did the government receive $22 million to push CSE?
You know, I won't pretend to know everything about CSC, but this is the situation. Government cannot do anything that is contrary to our Ghanaian norms or culture.
Question I'm asking is,
And
did we
even
receive
if it means it comes with any consideration whatsoever, government will not be part of any policy that will go to the extent of affecting our moral and cultural fiber. Government will not do that. So even though I don't have the specific fact to
The
this,
MP,
I know that
MP,
government will not do any of these
the MP,
things.
Okujeto Ablakwa, wrote on his Facebook, he says, "One of the key deliverables upon which our government received the first tranche of money is a promise to overcome social resistance and operational constraints to CSE."
His Facebook wall is not an authority that I would like to do.
No, it's not his Facebook wall, it's him.
Yes, he is not an authority. He has a political interest in this matter. I cannot base my entire conversation.
So he's lying?
I cannot base my entire conversation on his Facebook unless I go to verify this information, and then I'll come back to this table and tell you that I know on authority that this is the case.
Okay.
But I cannot base my comment on his Facebook post.
All right.
Because in the past, there's been times that he's made comments that turn out to be untrue, and I'll get facts.
Really?
And yes, yes, it's the truth, and I believe the viewers know this because he has a political capital out of this.
Okay.
I cannot base my comments on.
So I want to read the. I want to go to the next topic, but before I do that, there's a couple of messages that have come through again regarding this CSE program. Good morning, Mr. Host. My daughter is in class 6. My daughter in class 6 just told me this morning that it is included in the English textbooks. It is already here. Alan from Winneba is sending us a message there. We will have to see that and verify for ourselves, but thank you for sending us that message. I learned the president took 22 million. Yeah, this is what we just talked about. No, it's dollars, not Ghana cedis, from the Swedish government for CSE program. Please, they should return it. Abu Jamal from Tamale. He says government should return the money. All right, so yeah, well, thank you for keep letting your messages come through. We love to hear from you and what you have to say to us. Now, Abigail, let me come to you.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the price increases, tariff increases, price hikes. Utilities have gone up, water, electricity, fuel, CST, they've all gone up. And I think that there was one of the political conversations that happened during the run-up to the last election.
2016 election.
Yes, was that I remember Dr. Baumia saying that one of the things that they would slash and be very, aggressive at making sure that Ghanaians are a bit more comfortable is to take care of the utility tariffs, the communication taxes, and so on and so forth. How do you feel about the way things are going now?
In fact, they called it nuisance tax.
Nuisance tax,
yeah,
yes.
They called it nuisance tax.
That's true.
And I remember when the Minister for Finance went to Parliament after they had won, I think his first appearance in Parliament, he spoke about scrapping of the nuisance tax. And the President himself also met some people, and then he was like, they were going to reduce electricity tariffs for hairdressers, barbers, and all those people. And so for me, when we heard that they had reduced it a bit, when they came into power, they did some little reduction. And, well, people were happy, but I knew it was not something that we were going to be able to continue. Because, you see, when you are in government, that is when you get to know really what the situation is. When you are in opposition and you are sitting there and you are talking so much, you don't know what is happening there. Just like Dr. Baumia was telling us, he was a former worker of the Bank of Ghana, and he knows the money is in Ghana and that we will not go borrowing if the MPP comes to power. But now I'm sure we are the champions of borrowing in Africa, if not if not the whole world, you understand. So for me, it tells how unreasonable this government is. The increases they pushed to civil servants is supposed to take effect from next year. I bought my Wi-Fi in the house. I was supposed to put on some 300 cedis data about 3 days ago. So I bought 300 cedis. I forgot that it was taking effect from 1st of October. So I bought it, and then I wanted to quickly do it before the taxes take effect. I just put it there, and I was left with 260.
It had already taken effect?
Yeah, they took it. They took it.
Wow.
So I had to top up again with about 50 cedis to be able. So something that I used to buy for 300 cedis, now I'm doing 350 cedis. You understand? This is so unreasonable, especially from a government that promised so much that they were going to reduce taxes and then take off nuisance taxes. This communication tax, they didn't bring it. We brought it, and we justified why we should bring it and all that. Then in Parliament, they fought against it. That is when they started calling it a nuisance tax, and they said we are lazy, a lazy government that does not know how to raise funds, and then all we are thinking of is to tax the people to raise funds. Are they not doing the same thing? So why should Ghanaians even look at them again and give them that opportunity again? I think that they are a disappointment, and for me, Ghanaians should look at them as liars as they are, because this president and his appointees have never done anything other than lying to Ghanaians. That is all they've been doing to us. Look at this CSE issue. They've been lying to us. She just sat here and said there was no manual that had CSE in it. But the teacher's manual they've given to them, page 11, I've seen it. Go to page 11. It is there. The guidelines they've given them. And you know it, that it is there. Now, when you tell us that we shouldn't say CSE is actually what we all know it is, then what are you trying to take us for? I think that government should be reasonable and see the state in which Ghanaians are before they take certain decisions. Just recently, they increased fuel prices, and that went to affect transportation as well. So you've increased transportation in just about a month. Cost of transport has gone up. Now we are paying more for our calls and our data. We are going to pay more for electricity and water. Then we have a government that says that he is for the people. I don't think that government is for the people. Because if you are for the people...
So would you say that they, by their same words, they are being lazy in looking at ways of raising
maybe more than lazy, because they've done more taxes than even the NDC. Seriously. And they've received more funds. So you've just now we are hearing they've received 22 million. And she's saying we shouldn't take Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa's word. This is a sitting member of parliament. A sitting member of parliament. And I don't recall any statement Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa has made that has turned out to be false. Recently, they said he had gone to take some buses and he had not paid for. He brought out documents that showed that they were the liars. So you see, I think that government at this point, they may have to sit and their so-called economic team, management team, or whatever it is, should really sit up and govern us like Ghanaians expect to.
Let me go to my good friend Fati. Fati, what's up?
I'm good.
So, you said you wouldn't increase, you didn't say you wouldn't increase. You said you would slash, taxes.
Drastically.
So what's going on here? Okay. Let me just quickly read something that Kofi Kapito, who's the CEO of the Consumer Protection Agency, he says here, and I quote, "The reason why we want people to stop doing illegal connections and make sure they pay their bills on time is to give a reliable and efficient supply. At this point, people will start stealing electricity again. People will start doing all kinds of things because the average worker's salary hasn't been increased." What do you say to these things?
First of all, I would like to put this conversation in context and to start with to say that I'm a Ghanaian, and at every point in time, as a government, we have done nothing but to empathize with Ghanaians because we live in the same conditions, we virtually spend in the same ways, the same markets, we do everything together as a country. So we first of all...
But I think it's a little bit of a stretch to say that we live in the same conditions because it's a taxpayer that gives you fuel as a government. So if you say we live in the same conditions, nobody gives me fuel. I have to manage my salary.
Sometimes it's overgeneralized.
And sometimes... I struggle. In the morning, I'm looking at the fuel gauge.
Sometimes
and I have to be here.
It's overgeneralized. Before I became an appointee, I was a Ghanaian first.
Yes, fair enough.
And probably you can talk about the fact that it is not every appointee who takes fuel from government. That is true. You may go and find out.
But government largely
sometimes
lives at the largest
it will be
state,
overgeneralization to say that maybe because someone is an appointee, they also don't bear any cost or responsibility as individuals or even for their family members. This is the situation. We were in an era where electricity tariffs were higher than rents in this country, where we were in doomsday for 4 years. Cost of electricity, my electricity bill, and that of a lot of colleagues and friends I knew, and some of the stories that were out there in the media were that the tariffs were that high, even though we did not experience consistent, uninterrupted power supply. This government came into office. During the first year of this government, they not talk about just removing nuisance taxes, but also decided that looking at the burden and also the struggles that Ghanaians had been through, the struggles of hairdressers, barbers, welders, amongst others, let us reduce electricity tariffs for households by 17%, and let us reduce for those commercial entities by 30%. And this government for over 2 years kept that promise, ensured that against all odds, we were able to reduce those tariffs so that these people can restart afresh.
So what happened?
The government did that. Now, the purpose of some of these increments cannot be looked at without taking into consideration operation costs, power producers, the variations in their operations costs, what is happening with those who are supplying gas and all that. It will take us to look at all those figures and come out to say that government is overburdening Ghanaians or government is not overburdening Ghanaians.
Okay, so let me ask you a
with
question.
all sincerity,
why did you reduce it, let's say by 17%, right? And you could have reduced it by say 5% and then sustain it over the entire period of your time in office. So you reduce it by 17%, only to come back and increase it again. I mean, I don't understand the logic of that.
Let's look at the reduction for the commercial entities up to 30%. If you accumulate whatever increment has come within the past 4 months, it may not even be up to half of that. Seriously, that is the truth. So the purpose of some of these increments is that when there is a need to increase, we increase it and use the taxes judiciously. This government has demonstrated that when we don't need the tax, we don't collect it. We allow the people to have that kind of leverage, retain some of their money to sustain their businesses. Okay. And that is all we have done. And the record supports the argument I am making on behalf of government, that when there was a need for us to reduce, it was unprecedented. We had not heard of any government pledging or writing in its manifesto or even going ahead to fulfill that by reducing tariffs with those huge margins. Now we need the money. We have increased it by these bits. Hopefully we use it judiciously and Ghanaians will benefit from it. If the need arises that tariffs should be increased again, I will not be surprised if this government goes on that tangent again, if the need arises. Okay. So as it stands now, I believe it is necessary that they were increased. And of course, we have not or will not intend to bring any burden upon Ghanaians.
So you think that Kofi Kapito is exaggerating when he says...
No. He has valid concerns. I believe he's been in this industry for long.
Yes, very long time.
Yes. So, and I believe if you look at the newspapers in the past, when we reduced the tariffs, I believe he gave us very good comments. So he should see that this has come as a necessary thing to do. And when the need arises, if we need to reduce, why not? It will happen. But if you look at the inflation rates, if you look at other interventions the government is doing to sustain our economy, if we need money to develop this country, I believe it is only fair that what is appropriate to apply, and we should allow it to.
Okay, let's go to cocoa production before we end the show. The government yesterday announced an upward adjustment in the producer price of cocoa by 8.42%, moving 62.5 kilo bag of the commodity from 475 Ghana cedis to 515 Ghana cedis for the 2019 to 2020 cocoa season. The adjustment in the price has increased the current price of cocoa by 40 Ghana cedis per bag and 640 per ton. All right, I'm sure you're going to pat yourselves on the back for helping cocoa farmers. But will the farmer enjoy, how much of this is the farmer going to enjoy directly?
This is the specific percentages you are seeing as reflecting on the backs are what the farmers will get.
They will get it
because,
directly.
Yeah, directly. It's if you look at the FOB costs, and these deductions were made to that bag based on what the farmer will get. And this is the situation. From 2015, the cocoa prices on the world market per ton kept coming down.
Yeah.
From $2,900 to $2,050 in 2017, to $2,200 in 2018, and to $2,350 in 2019.
Yeah.
And if you look at that period, Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana, who produce about 60% of cocoa beans that is consumed worldwide, were unable to increase because some of those reduction of prices on the world market were drastic. In fact, the kind of intervention...
How are you able to do that at this time when the price of cocoa globally is going down? I'm not sure what the mathematics are.
It should tell you the kind of sacrifices and intervention this government is willing to go to help our farmers sustain production of cocoa and make it continuously attractive for the farmer to go ahead to produce cocoa. As it stands now, La Côte d'Ivoire still pays 465 cedis per bag of cocoa. They pay 1,000 CFA. They haven't increased. To think that the prices were reducing over these past 3 to 4 years, and government did not consider reducing the price for farmers, but to try to sustain it against all odds, should tell you the kind of support that government was willing to give to these farmers. Beyond that, you know, government introduced an intervention to help cocoa farmers hand-pollinate, get extension officers to help them increase production. There was a farmer I spoke to at Akontombra. He is a family friend. He said, you know what, I used to harvest about 12 bags. Now that number has increased about 70%. And if you hear testimonies from a lot of farmers, you will see that the yield has increased and government has gone ahead to increase the price per bag or price per ton by these figures that you have quoted. It points to one thing. If the prices on the world market were good, we can even do better. In the face of Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire trying to align and come together to get a stronger force to try and negotiate better to get our farmers a good price, I believe it's something that is commendable, and we should encourage the government that this is good. We can only get better from here. Okay,
all right. Abigail, so what do you think about... there was this whole hullabaloo earlier on in the year about who did what with cocoa and so on and so forth. Your government was boasting of, bringing the seedling,
the hybrid seedlings,
and so on and so forth. So, what do you think of what's happening?
First of all, the FOB price at this point is 840 cedis. So if government is giving 515, I don't see why they are patting themselves at the back. That is 61%. There have been times in this country when we've done 75%. So I don't see the pat in the back. No. Because, you see, you would have to take it gradually, year by year. Then you would be able to understand the whole thing. You understand? In 2008, 2009, the price was 102 per bag, 102 cedis per bag. 2009, 2010, it went to 138. January 2010, it went to 150 from 138. 2011, 2012, that is October 2010, it went to 200 cedis from 150. In 2015, okay, there's the increase till it got to 345 in 2014, 2015, the farming season. 2016, it was at 420, sorry. Then by the time we were leaving office, it was at 475. Okay. The 3 years they have been in power, they never increased it. Anything, so. Now, when we were in power, we were also giving fertilizer for free. They are selling fertilizer to farmers.
Right. Okay, thank you very much. Well, I've been speaking to Abigail Elorm Mensah, who is a deputy organizer, the women's organizer.
Deputy women's organizer.
Deputy women's organizer at with the NDC, and then also Fati Abubakar, who is a deputy director of communications at the presidency. Well, thank you very much for sending in your messages. Let me just quickly read this one here. I think this government has lost it all in managing this country. How much does the poor teacher take home? Yet they blow these heartless taxes on them. All right, thank you very much. We'll be back with the next segment. Don't go anywhere.
Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed this video.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, The City Tube,
For exclusive Breakfast Daily content and other City TV programs.
like, comment, and share with your friends.